Welcome back, everybody, to the show. We have so much to talk about. I hope you're doing fantastic. Luke Beasley here, joined by producer Jaden and producer Cole, as always, the wonderful team. But all of you are really the most important members of this team. Thank you for being here. Let's start with a little bit of a cold open, a clip that went mega viral for good reason. And then we're going to go through the two pressers from hell, okay? But let's start with this.
Or three. But we had a death, and then we had another death, and we had some things, and but we're looking very strong. We had one man who was very ill. It looked like he wasn't going to make it. I don't know. I won't mention his name.
You're about to watch one of the most embarrassing moments in a Trump presser, and uncomfortable and cringy. We're going to review this and Trump admitting just how detached from humanity he is, and then look through, and I apologize in advance for how many Trump clips I'm going to have to expose you to, but I just need to give you a sense of yesterday, all of his public appearances, how psychotic they were, okay? So you hear him talking about Neil Dunn, and then he ends up making everyone, including in the audience who you'll hear audibly react, very uncomfortable.
Should I? Do other people know his name? Do you want to mention it? He'll be proud. Go ahead. Tell him the story.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mr. President. Congressman Neil Dunn of Florida had some real health challenges, and it was very serious, and had a pretty grim diagnosis. And I mentioned it to the president, and I said, Congressman Dunn is a real champion and a patriot because he's still coming to work. And if others got this diagnosis, they would be apt to go home and retire. And
what was the diagnosis?
It was, I think it was a terminal diagnosis.
He would be dead by June.
Okay, that wasn't public, but yeah, okay. That's it was grim. That's what I was going to say. I don't think
with a heart problem, by the way. This was a heart problem.
Right.
So did you ask Neil? Did you ask Neil if you could reveal this? He was going to be dead by June, dead like a dog. And then Mike Johnson's like, yeah, okay, so HIPAA violation.
So the long story short, the president called him to encourage him and thank him, and they had a conversation, and the president mentioned in the course of the conversation, you know how to get my doctors involved. And they did, and within a number of hours, they took him to Walter Reed, emergency surgery. The man has a new lease on life. He acts like he's 30 years younger, and he walked into the conference meeting, and we thought we'd seen a ghost. And I spoke with him over the weekend, and he's encouraged and thankful, and he thanks the president for his leadership and intervention. And thank you.
He actually called Mike called me, and he said, sir, we're up by 3, but we're going to lose 1 by June. I said, who? Neil Dunn. He's a great congressman. Incredible.
Look at Mike Johnson's face. So Trump is talking about someone almost dying, and he wasn't taking enough aspirin. He had thick blood pouring through. You got to have thin blood, as Trump would say. And then Trump immediately goes, and by the way, the reason I cared was because then we would lose one of the votes in the House, and we already have a narrow margin. And Mike Johnson's like, we're also happy he has a new lease on life. Trump's like, shh, yeah, but we almost lost a vote, Mike.
He called to say that he was terminal, really bad heart. There's nothing they can do. I said, that's bad. Number 1, it was bad because I liked him. Number 2, it was bad because I needed his vote. But he really said, Mike, I'm going to last this out for the president and you. And however long I live, I mean, it looks like June is the time, but however long I live, I'm going to...
So the crowd goes, ugh, whenever he goes on the dead by June rant. And then Mike Johnson goes, yeah, that wasn't public, but okay. And Trump doubles down and just repeats it a bunch of times. Now, you can tell that Trump was sitting there contemplating what he had just said. And even his inhumanity recognized the PR issues with him admitting that he was really concerned about losing a vote as opposed to the health. And maybe he helped to get his doctors, or whatever the story was, sending him to Walter Reed, giving him the best medical care he could get, was less about the human life component and more about the vote for Trump in the House component. So then Trump goes, just to clarify.
And very encouraged and encouraged all of us. So, again, a testament to great leadership. And he's, my hat's off to Neil Dunn and his beautiful wife and family. He's an extraordinary individual.
And just, because I don't want to have a terrible story about this, I did it for him first and for the vote second. but it was a close second, actually. But I did it for the vote second. All right?
Says Mike Johnson. So that's just one issue, and we have so many. I don't know what Trump was on yesterday, but it was mayhem throughout the day. So let's go on to the next one. We are currently at war. We're currently at war, but Trump's already getting off to the idea of a new war, Cuba.
I think Cuba, I don't know, is in its own way, for tourism and everything else, it's a beautiful island, great weather. They're not in a hurricane zone, which is nice for a change.
False.
They won't be asking us for money for hurricanes every week. But I think Cuba's the end. All my life I've been hearing about the United States and Cuba. When will the United States do it? I do believe I'll be having the honor of taking Cuba. That'd be good. That's a big honor.
Taking Cuba.
Taking Cuba in some form, yeah. Taking Cuba. I mean.
And then to keep Trump stimulated during these press conferences and during his time in the Oval Office, they have a model plane on the table so that he can point at it and go, look, this is what's flying over Iran. And Iran, it flies. And that's how they keep him stimulated. So then we get to a report. Wait, how would I move on so fast from that? Cuba. He's saying he's going to take Cuba. So the idea here is there's major power outages, as obviously we've imposed for a long time an embargo, and then Trump has added more restrictions to really choke off the Cuban economy. And then I think his plan here is if he can force a complete and total collapse, then he can walk in and take Cuba, as to use his phraseology there. Then we get to a reporter asking JD Vance, you've been clear on the record against wars just like this in Iran, not to mention Trump talking about taking Greenland, not to mention him talking about and doing the takeover of Venezuela, not to mention Cuba. Is there any distance between you and Donald?
First, Mr. Vice President, Democrats are already calling you the fraud czar. What's your reaction to that title? And then second,
Good title.
given
I like
your
it.
past skepticism of foreign adventurism, are you completely on board with the current war in Iran?
So I like fraud czar. It's certainly what we're going to do. And look, we have to do it. As the president said, this is a problem that has festered in this country for.
So part of this press conference was talking about how they're taking on fraud and they're only going to obsess over fraud that happens in blue states. Obviously, fraud happens in red states. I don't want fraud in any states, and I think they should all be held accountable. But for them, it's more of a political issue. So JD Vance, while Trump is slumped over, very just sort of decrepit looking in his chair, and his little hands are like a little kid standing behind a desk, he has named, I guess, JD Vance the fraud czar, which doesn't sound good.
Far too long, and far too few people have actually wanted to do anything about it. That's what makes this administration different, is that we actually tackle the problems the American people have been confronting. So I'm very happy about it. And look, I think that I know what you're trying to do, Phil. You're trying to drive a wedge between members of the administration, between me and the president. What the president said consistently, going back to 2015, and I agreed with him, is that Iran should not have a nuclear weapon. We have taken this military action under the president's leadership. I think all of us, whether you're a Democrat.
So a non-answer. And then he goes on to say, all of us really should be focusing on praying for the success and the troops and the military. Of course, all of our hearts are with the people actually risking their lives because of Trump's decision. That doesn't mean we think the decision is rational. And JD Vance has argued that before, but he does have, and he brought it up again in this press conference. We'll do a flashback and then it'll skip forward to this press conference. He does have a very philosophical explanation as to why in the past he was against interventions just like this, but today he's not. Take a look if you can catch the depth and complexity of his reasoning.
And the second thing is, Kristen, I certainly empathize with Americans who are exhausted after 25 years of foreign entanglements in the Middle East. I understand the concern, but the difference is that back then we had dumb presidents, and now we have a president who actually knows how to accomplish America's national security objectives. So this is not going to be some long, drawn-out thing. We've got in, we've done the job of setting their nuclear program back. We're going to now work to permanently dismantle that nuclear program over the coming years, and that is what the president has set out to do.
As possible.
So there's no hesitation, given your past statements, with the current operation?
What do you mean there's no hesitation with my past statements?
Given your skepticism of foreign adventurism, you were a critic of the global war on terror previously.
Well, I think one big difference, Phil, is that we have a smart president, whereas in the past we've had dumb presidents, and I trust President Trump to get the...
So as Trump sits there, genuinely looking like a toddler sitting behind his dad's big desk and putting his little hands up, like
I
not
love
right
cows.
now, but earlier he had his little hands up, and then he has his little plane to play with. Then you have JD Vance standing next to him. Have you named me what? That JD Vance going, well, we have a smart president. We've already had dumb presidents, which is the most childlike understanding of geopolitics you could possibly comprehend. The other thing yesterday Trump was really fixated on was pounding. Things getting pounded, people doing pounding, people being pounded by other people.
Pounding that area, that coast, pounding it hard. They took a pounding from Rick. You know, he knows what it is to pound people. He was a little rough with a couple of the people, but that's okay. They've survived.
Right, so that's the Pod Save America guys putting together that compilation. So a lot of pounding going on, apparently. And then Trump has decided his line of attack against Gavin Newsom, which you would think would be mostly about, like, here's problems that we believe are worse in California, whether true in some cases or completely manufactured. And California is a disaster, and Newsom is a woke California guy. Ugh. But instead, Trump has fixated, because of his own insecurity about his own intelligence, on Gavin Newsom being transparent about his dyslexia and how that caused problems for him growing up, but then how it actually ended up being a superpower for him because of the extra work he had put into memorization and understanding topics and learning how to speak effectively despite not being great at reading off a teleprompter. All of those things he's been transparent about now to Trump, he thinks is a great line of attack. Now, as you're watching this clip, just remember, I looked it up, like up to 20% of the U.S. population has dyslexia. So remember that as you hear the President of the United States say this.
With a low IQ person, you know, because Gavin Newsom has admitted that he has learning disabilities. Honestly, I'm all for people with learning disabilities, but not for my president. I think a president should not have learning disabilities, okay? And I know it's highly controversial to say such a horrible thing. The President of the United States, Gavin Newsom, admitted that he has learning disabilities, dyslexia. Everything about him is dumb.
Everything about him is dumb, according to Trump, because he has dyslexia, which if only an idiot would say such a thing. Obviously, dyslexia doesn't make you unintelligent. It can introduce new obstacles, but does not you, all of us, I mean, a bunch of you will have dyslexia. All of us know highly, highly intelligent people, including Gavin Newsom, who have dyslexia. And actually, I think one of the reasons Newsom, off the cuff, is able to recite so many different stats and he memorizes all of these different facts and figures as he is in interviews is because he's learned that skill throughout his life, because he can't just rely on showing up unprepared and reading off of something. He actually has to internalize the information, which makes him more prepared to talk about subjects. However you feel about him, that's just true, and you can see it come up in interviews, which is why he's so fast and sharp in those interviews. He understands 10x, if not more, complicated subjects than Trump does. And can we be honest? It's insane for Trump to ever rail against anyone's intelligence. It's the reason he's so obsessed with Jasmine Crockett, low IQ, Kamala Harris, low IQ, Gavin Newsom, low IQ, Biden, is because he knows that he's not very smart. And
I'm not cognitively.
To say, I don't want a president with learning disabilities, when, like, learning for Trump is his disability.
A brain.
Any attempt at comprehending subjects he hasn't yet interfaced with is the thing he's disabled at. Yeah. So then you have Newsom responding saying, oh, wait. Is this the clip? Oh, one part I didn't even think of in that is that I know what he's trying to say, which is he's going, I'm saying you shouldn't have a president with learning disabilities. That's controversial. The president of the United States is saying that. And then he moves on to say, Gavin Newsom. But the way he words it just makes it sound like he's calling Newsom the president.
I think a president should not have learning disabilities, okay? And I know it's highly controversial to say such a horrible thing. The President of the United States, Gavin Newsom, admitted that he...
That does sound like he's calling Newsom the president. So Newsom responded saying, now that I, Gavin C. Newsom, am officially president of the United States, thank you, Donald, I have many big announcements to make. First, every Trump executive order is null and void. Stephen Miller and every Trump goon is fired, and the Trump corruption probe is officially launched. Healthcare is now free for all Americans. No measles, and all moms get free childcare so we can have more babies. Also, cannabis is now legal and abortion is back for women who want it. I will soon be banning all Ticketmaster fees, and there will be no more commercials allowed during NBA and NFL games. That one's for me specifically. As well as all Bravo Real Housewives shows, longer episodes. Every American family now gets a tariff and gas spike refund to buy a cheap electric car. The country is now run by someone who can actually complete a sentence. America's now hot because you have a dyslexic president instead of a brain dead one. Big upgrade, Governor GDCC, and whoa! You now have a dyslexic president instead of a brain dead one. Okay, yeah, so I'm commentating on it, and I'm not supposed to fangirl out, and yes, Gavin Newsom has plenty of issues, and I don't know if he would be the best nominee, but come on, that's fire! It's fire, and you know it. Also, the first half of that, it got kind of silly. The first half seems like a really good agenda. Reversing Trump's executive orders, obviously getting rid of his administration, launching probes into Trump-era corruption, free healthcare, childcare, supporting more babies through pro-family policies, lax cannabis policy, reproductive rights, taking on these insane companies that are ripping people off like Ticketmaster. And then it got kind of silly, but all of that, if that's actually what he's running on, that's a pretty good agenda, to be honest. Then Trump said one more thing about Newsom.
Everything about him is dumb. But then he looked at the audience and said, "What, I'm smarter than you," or something like that. That was pretty silly. So now on top of everything else, I call him a racist because it happened to be a black audience. I will tell you this. I think it was the worst interview I've ever seen of any human being in my life, okay?
So, Newsom did not say I'm smarter than you. I don't know if Trump's getting confused with Biden saying I'm smarter than most of you, which was funny. I think he is. That might be what it is, because Newsom didn't say that. He was like, "Hey, I'm like a regular guy," and the crowd was racially diverse. So I don't know what Trump's talking about there, but people misstated it. And here's an example: I didn't do great on my SAT, and I struggled when I was growing up learning how to effectively read, and was just kind of relating to how trying to portray himself as not some out of touch politician who, whatever, who didn't share the difficulties that many people do growing up. Here is Newsom's wife responding to Trump's claims.
I just witnessed Donald Trump's comments about learning disabilities and my husband, Gavin Newsom, and I honestly had to take a beat. Suggesting that someone with dyslexia, or any learning difference for that matter, is somehow less capable of leading or achieving is extremely ignorant and offensive. Dyslexia is not a measure of intelligence. In fact, quite the contrary, and learning differences do not determine someone's potential. On the contrary, some of the most successful leaders in business and the world have dyslexia. Day in and day out, Trump says things that make him unfit for office. He degrades our vulnerable communities, our institutions, even the Constitution itself. And somehow we're told to ignore it, turn a blind eye, pretend everything is normal. Guess what? It's not. And we're fed up. As someone who grew up in a Republican household, shame on the Republican Party for normalizing this vile specimen of a human being stationed at the top of their party.
Yeah, we need to use that term more often, that Trump is a specimen. He's a vile specimen. He's a deranged specimen. I think somehow it reduces him a little bit. So then think about this other factor. It was the biggest scandal ever, is what it felt like, when Biden said, here's two examples. Whenever he said, the only garbage I see is coming from Trump's supporters. And this was after the guy called Puerto Rico garbage. and he was trying to make the point of those supporters saying stuff like that are the garbage, but it got discombobulated. It sounded like he was saying Trump supporters are garbage. So then he would clarify, that's not what I meant. I just meant the people saying mean things. Okay, that was a big scandal. How dare you insult? You're insulting a big percentage of the country, real Americans who do real work and aren't sipping on their soy caramel oat milk lattes. And so then it's a big thing, right? Or when Biden said, if you vote for Trump, you ain't black, right? And you go, whoa, Joe, hey, now, pull back. And he's like, sorry, I was trying to tell a joke. And so then that's a scandal. He apologized, right? But then Trump literally comes out and says 20% of the population are dumb dummies and aren't qualified to be president. And it'll be a scandal in the sense that, like, we'll talk about it, people will talk about it, but it's not even going to be a blip compared to any other president. But these press conferences just continue to be out of control, including Trump making up what I'm certain was a fake story.
7 years, no president was willing to do what I'm doing, and they should have done it a long time ago. It would have been a lot easier. There's no president that wanted to do it, and yet every president knew. I've spoken to a certain president, who I like, actually, a past president, former president. He said, I wish I did it. I wish I did, but they didn't do it. I'm doing it, yeah.
Which president?
I can't tell you that. I don't want to embarrass him. It would be very bad for his career, even though he's got no.
So, ring, ring. Hey, Joe. Hey. No. Oh, you're watching the stream? You don't like when I bring up the you ain't black thing? No, I know it was a mistake. No, I know you're trying to be funny.
You're the sucker. You're the loser.
But you meant it. What? Okay. Well, we're getting off track. Did you say that you wish you had done the Iran thing? No, you didn't. Okay. All right. Bye. Thank you. Bill. Hey, Bill. You dirty dog. Did you say it? No, I did it. All right. Thanks, Bill. Obama. Luke. I missed you. Yes, that was good. Did you talk with Trump about Iran? You're an idiot if you believe that. Okay, bye. Bush? You can fool me 3 times, then you're a sucker. Ah! Did you talk about it? I got some nice patents. I don't know his accent. All right, bye, Bush. I don't like you. Anyways, you're terrible. You did a bunch of wars too, you loser. Okay. So they all denied it, is the point. Actual outlets, not me, reached out to all of them, and they all said, I did not talk to Trump about that. But if I had to guess, it would have been Clinton, to be frank, because Trump said he kind of likes him, and that's the person he always says that he kind of likes, especially whenever Epstein comes up, and Trump's like, I wish Clinton wouldn't get asked about Epstein stuff. I really like Clinton. And then you have this, which is Trump. Wait, take that down for a second. Is this this is just Trump getting randomly distracted and never coming back to his point.
We have some good allies there. We have some great Middle Eastern countries there, Israel there. So we did it for a lot of reasons. But it always amazed me that we did it. We never asked for reimbursement. And it was really there to serve other countries, not us. And by the way, we have the Sugar King. The same story. Look at that. Alfie Van Hoel. Alfie, thank you both very much. Huh? Pepe. That's Pepe here. Pepe. Hi, Pepe. How are you? How are you? Is Alfie in the backstage? No. Huh? Is he sitting back there waiting for you? No? You doing all right? Pepe is a great friend of all of ours, I think.
Yeah, a great friend. Such a great friend you didn't know the name. I love Alfie. Come here, Alfie. And then you have Susie Wiles being like, Pepe. Trump's like, huh? Pepe. I have these 2 older relatives, and one of them has a little bit of a difficulty hearing, and the other one will speak at a quiet tone. But then the one that speaks quietly will say, like, hey, the name is Pepe. And the other relative will be like, what'd you say? And instead of going, oh, the name is Pepe, the relative speaking quietly will go, the name is Pepe! And just start screaming. And we're like, oh, you could just, it's like that. It's Pepe, Don. Okay. So then you have this.
We've helped them for years stay out of wars. Yeah, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Can you tell us if you spoken with French President Macron about the...
See, some of you guys think I'm being silly when I go Emmanuel Macron. But it's real. This is a French reporter. That's how you say it. Macron.
Macron about the coalition to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Have you been speaking with the French president?
What does that mean?
Have you been speaking with the French President Macron about the coalition to reopen the Strait of Hormuz?
Yeah, I have spoken to him. He's been on a scale of 0 to 10. I'd say he's been an 8. Not perfect.
On what? On what? Macron has been very bad, but Macron has been very good. Oh, wow. I don't know why I'm so giggly today.
But it's France.
Are you
We don't expect perfect.
Are you confident that France will help with the reopening of Strait of Hormuz?
Yeah, I mean, sure. I think he's going to help. I mean, I'll let you know. I spoke to him yesterday. I don't do a hard sell on them because my attitude is we don't need anybody. We're the strongest nation.
I talked to Macron, and he said, talk to Candace. If Candace will stop saying Brigitte has a penis, then we will open up the Strait of Hormuz. It's very difficult. I've lost my Trump accent. That's weird. Very difficult. What is that? That's not Trump. I have Susie Wiles next to me. My Trump accent's morphing into something very different. We're at war, everyone. Hi. We're at war still. And the president's talking about his ballroom.
For specific reasons, we have a magnificent ballroom being built because this is the biggest room, and it holds like 98 people for dinner. But behind me, you're going to have a ballroom that this building and the people occupying it, in particular, every president for 100.
No one wants to hear about the ballroom right now. Please and thank you. Stephen Miller, during the previous press conference, tried to get away with this.
I believe, and I know President Trump believes, that when this theft is exposed, we will see that if all of it were stopped, it would be enough to balance the budget. The extraction of wealth from American taxpayers to people who don't belong here is the primary cause of the national debt, and this is the first ever.
So fraud by immigrants, he's saying, is the biggest contributor to the national debt. Do you know the only empirical case we have is for the opposite? That immigrants are a net positive and collectively reduce our deficits because they pay more in taxes than they get back in benefits. So it's the opposite. We would have a worse debt problem right now if you grabbed every immigrant and deported them. That's just the truth. And don't talk to me about the debt. Trump, who's responsible for like a quarter of all U.S. debt. I don't want to hear about that. And if this argument of there's so much fraud by the little people. Now, I'm not saying there's not big fraud. There is. Trump keeps pardoning all the big fraudsters, by the way. But if this argument of we just got to go stop all of these immigrants, the non-significant, and I mean that in the sense of the power that they have in our system, whatever the term is, you know what I'm talking about, these groups, the marginalized, the targeted, the scapegoated, if we can just stop them from doing the fraud, then we would have so much extra money. Well, there was something that was supposed to expose that, and it's called Doge. And the dude who was hired for it during a deposition literally got asked, did y'all reduce the deficits? And he said, no. So we don't need to keep playing this game. You already tried it. You failed. Then at the press conference, Trump says this.
I knew about the strait, that it would be a weapon, which I predicted a long time ago, predicted all of this stuff. You guys were very generous in that. I predicted all of it. I predicted Osama bin Laden would knock out the World Trade Center. I made that prediction a year before he did it. I said, you better get him. He's a bad guy. I watched him be.
I knew him very well. Good friend of mine. So vicious, but so cool. Me, him, and Jeffrey Epstein.
Interviewed one time, and I said, that's a bad guy. You better get him. 1 year before exactly, I wrote it in a book.
So of course we already fact checked that a bunch of times, and he did not say you gotta get him to stop him from attacking the World Trade Center. Instead, he was like, every day there seems to be a different villain. Oh, we're supposed to care about Osama bin Laden. He was actually downplaying the significance in his book. And then you have him forgetting that the president now of Venezuela that he installed by taking Maduro is a woman.
Literally millions of barrels of oil are being taken out, and it's been a great help, and it's been to their great benefit. The president has done a really good job. We get along with him really well, but we've taken out millions of...
Great guy. A woman. And then there's some clips where you're like, wait, what is he saying? What even is he saying here?
Lebanon. This is a very substantial person, wealthy person, whose parents live in Lebanon. I said, really? How do you live in Lebanon? Your parents are living... Oh, yeah, they live there. And over the years, they've gotten used to the fact that it's being bombed. But they explained to me that it's really a different section of Lebanon. It's the section where Hezbollah is. And they get used to it, I guess. I don't know. I mean, people live in Ukraine. You would think they wouldn't live in Ukraine, but they live in Ukraine. I don't know that I'd do that, but they live in Ukraine. They live in Lebanon. Hezbollah is a big problem, and they're rapidly being eliminated. Thank you so much. Very much, everybody.
Yeah. Thank you. On that note, chew on that. I'll talk to you tomorrow. So I mean, his argument is it's crazy that people live in countries subjected to war and mass violence. Yes, true. And also it's people's countries. Like, that's their country. So of course they want to stay there and in many cases fight for it because it's their country. All right, thank you all so much for being here. We have so much more to talk about. I don't even know how we're going to do it. Fluffy Yaleris has been a member for 4 months, said, love you guys for keeping me laughing through the pain while also keeping me informed daily. Also, please get Harry Inton's woof as a soundbite. I thought maybe Cole was going to have it, but yeah, we do have to get that. Cassie J is a member for 4 months, said, Mr. Orange is just crazy. Thanks to all three of you for your hard work. Absolutely. Zeno Tasedro has been a member for 16 months. Wow. And said, when Trump judges someone's intelligence or capacity for learning, the irony is too damn funny. Smart people don't like me. Love from South Texas. He did indeed say that, which is crazy. Hillary Badillery said, I love seeing people that make sense. Thank you, President Newsom. Miss Chester became a member by clicking the join button. You gotta get the bonus show. If you're not a member right now, you're breaking my heart. That's actually shocking to me. Please become a member by clicking the join button on YouTube. And every day you get 20 to 30 minute bonus shows. Pretty wild, huh? EZ Rare said, what's up, Luke, Jaden, and Cole? Thanks for being the easiest to understand channel that keeps me updated on what's going on. That's awesome to hear. Hillary Badillery sent a gifted membership. Intuition Jen sent 5 gifted memberships. We appreciate all of you so very much. We have a major resignation from inside of Trump's administration as a protest of the war in Iran. This could be the dam breaking. There are reports that say this will give the permission to a lot of the other people in the administration who have been leaking stuff to actually resign. Joe Kent, the director of the National Counterterrorism Center, announced his resignation on Tuesday. And we'll look at that in just a second here. We'll also look at, as you can see there, Trump in his green tie, which I forgot. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. I forgot it. And you went and changed, you MFer. And Cole pinched me, so that's very sad. But we'll look at his reaction in a second. First, Joe Kent posted, after much reflection, I've decided to resign. So he's like a top official under Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard is just silent. You don't know where she is. I haven't heard a peep from her because she's been railing against war with Iran for how long? A decade? And now we're at war in the administration that she flipped over in a big grift so she could stay relevant because she cares more about her own fame and notoriety and power than any principles, is now actually the one who brought us to war with Iran despite her saying it would be Kamala. After much reflection, Joe Kent says, I've decided to resign from my position as director of the National Counterterrorism Center. Good time to be resigning from that part, effective today. I cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran. Iran posed no imminent threat. This is someone who gets intelligence info, presumably, to our nation, and it is clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby. It has been an honor serving under POTUS and DNI Gabbard and leading the professionals at NCTC. May God bless America. And then there's a full letter. We're not going to read that. None of us have time for that, but he's not happy, right? And I don't like Joe Kent as a person and his politics, but it is good to see him resigning. You got to do something in protest if you believe this is bad. Now, before I show you Trump's reaction, I want to do two things. Make a point, and then I'll show you how the White House is already like, this guy was a loser all along. Why was he the director of counterintelligence then? That's kind of weird. He was always an idiot. You hired him. But okay. But the first point is, he did what I've seen numerous media people in the Trump orbit of, like, they used to be pro-Trump and now they're against him on the war do, which is he's like, it's been an honor serving the president. Now, he did just start a war based on a total lie, is Mr. Joe Kent's argument, but I respect the hell out of him. Oh, and Tulsi Gabbard, who by Joe Kent's logic is a coward who is hiding from the truth despite her knowing it's a lie. That's the only way you could assume based on what he's resigning over. But it was an honor serving, right? There's a contradiction there. Why was it such an honor if they're doing something this destructive in your mind? And that reminds me of Tucker Carlson, who I've been playing clips for you all of him saying, you know, I was a big supporter of Trump, but now we're all heartbroken. And when the war started, he called it evil and disgusting. Trump took an action that Tucker, much like his tongue right there, was disgusting and evil. Okay? And then in that same interview where Tucker confirms that he said that to a reporter, he says, but I just love Trump. I'll always love him. You'll never make me not love him. And you're like, wait, you're calling out an irrational, unnecessary war, death, children's school being blown up, and describing it as evil. And the guy who did that act you say you still love? Weird. Very weird. Now let's watch Trump's reaction to Joe Kent.
Mr. President, your director of national counterterrorism, Joe Kent, he just resigned today. He said he can't support your conflict with Iran. What's your reaction to that? And did you?
Well, I read his statement. I always thought he was a nice guy, but I always thought he was weak on security, very weak on security. I didn't know him well, but I thought he seemed like a pretty nice guy. But when I read his statement, I realized that it's a good thing that he's out, because he said that Iran was not a threat. Iran was a threat. Every country realized what a threat Iran was. The question is whether or not they wanted to do something about it. And many people, many of the greatest military scholars are saying for years that presidents should have taken out Iran because they wanted a nuclear weapon.
What does that mean, taking out Iran? And if for years this has been something that people wanted, how could it have been suddenly an imminent threat? So there's that, but did you hear him say, I just feel like he was weak on security? Wait, National Counterterrorism Center, you let him be the director of the National Counterterrorism Center, but you always knew he was weak on security? That doesn't work. And same thing with the White House is boosting posts calling Joe Kent a loser and crazed egomaniac. Guys, he worked in your White House. He worked in your, not in the White House, but in your administration. You can't flip that quickly. They always do that. Oh, I mean, obviously all the people who left Trump's first administration then said he was a lunatic. Trump would say, oh yeah, I always knew they were a loser and that they were actually a rhino and that they hated our country and that they were completely incompetent. And you're thinking, you hired him. That doesn't make any sense, or her. This is the report I was referencing about how this resignation, it reads, raw story, bombshell Trump war resignation could lead to exodus of those who have doubts. Maybe this will be the dam breaking, and damn, that should happen. You see what I did there? Because it's not just, I mean, it could just be over. It should be over, this war. But there's so many other reasons as well, like how Trump is so corrupt, the most corrupt president in American history, and he's bringing in all of his family to suck wealth out of their positions. As Jared Kushner, Trump's son-in-law, is the unofficial, peace envoy, special peace envoy, as he's doing negotiations with Middle Eastern nations, he's also soliciting $5 billion in funding for his private equity firm from those governments, from these Middle Eastern governments, while he has a position where he's in charge of negotiations. What? And then you have Carrie Bowler, who was a part of the Religious Liberty Commission, and she ended up leaving the administration very recently. And one of the quotes I saw from her was that she was told by her boss at this Religious Liberty Commission within the Trump White House that her job was not to, stand for principles of religious liberty, but to serve Trump.
Thank you so much for having me, Pierce. I've been a loyal supporter of the president for almost 20 years. This goes back to when I was 21 years old and I was Miss California at the Miss USA pageant. And I've known him. I consider him a dear friend.
Okay. Was that relevant to your point? I see you, Carrie. I see what you did there. In a moment like this during a war, it reminds me of when I bravely went to the front lines. Like, was that relevant? Of course, I've supported him for so long, going back to when I was the most beautiful woman in California. I think it really reminds me of that era. Okay, Carrie.
California at the Miss USA pageant. And I've known him. I consider him a dear friend. And I will tell you right now, I do not recognize our president. I think that we are an occupied nation. I think that a foreign country has occupied our government. And we are seeing now that this president of the United States of America is being influenced by a foreign government. And MAGA, let me tell you right now, MAGA is dead. It is deader than dead. And Americans are furious. We do not recognize President Donald J. Trump anymore.
Okay. Okay, Carrie. I don't know. The reason I'm saying that is like, where you been? Now, can I be honest? I don't want people to overstate the whole occupied nation thing. Yes, did Israel want us to do this? Absolutely. Was Netanyahu visiting the White House a bunch of times just because he likes the new golden decorations? No, he was encouraging Trump into this. Absolutely. But can we also recognize that so Israel has their reasons that they want this war, okay, with Iran, and that's like a chief antagonist of theirs. And so they're pushing for what they want. We have our own president, and he is pushing for what he wants too. What if he agrees? What if he's wanting to do this, and we should judge him for that? And we should hold him accountable for that because he's the president of the most powerful country on the planet. I sometimes think people overstate, and it helps Trump sort of get away with his activities, the outside influence. Yes, there's lots of outside influences from foreign governments and from domestic organizations and from lobbying groups and all of that. Of course, that's a big flaw in our political system. And individual adults who have critical thinking skills, or they should, are making decisions with our military, and they should be judged for that. Let's not put all of the responsibility on Trump. Just got completely manipulated and controlled into doing something. Ugh. All right, then you have Alex Jones upset about this as well.
President Trump's coming to the defense of Mark Levin today on Truth Social is extremely troubling because of what he says there. First off, he implies that it's these evil, terrible people that aren't MAGA that are attacking him and that Trump's coming to his aid. Mark Levin, Ben Shapiro, and others have been all over the conservative circuit, CPAC, their own shows, TPUSA, saying Tucker Carlson is non-MAGA, Alex Jones is non-MAGA, and listing other people that are supposed to be excommunicated. Well, let's just get one thing straight here. I was around a lot longer than Trump politically.
Okay, I can't keep watching this. Oh my gosh, watching him talk is stressing me out right now. He's like disoriented. Yeah, so he's upset that Trump is saying Mark Levin is MAGA, but Tucker and Megyn Kelly are not. Let me quickly say thank you to 3 different people who said, oh, Luke said become a member and it's going to be worth my time and money. I'm going to do it because we have that type of trusting relationship, and I appreciate you for that. Shut up, Lindsay. became a member by clicking the join button. Yanara Sorgafor, apologies, I don't know how to pronounce that, became a member as well. I appreciate you. Kittybot became a member, and then one more, Alexis, became a member as well. Before we move on to our next story, we are going to re-up our fundraising effort. We raised $30,000 for the Miracle Foundation. This has been for years my mom's life work in uplifting vulnerable children, getting the resources to the foster care families to make sure that foster care kids have the loving, stable, long-term families that they deserve. And so often these, what could be forever families, they describe them as stable, long-term, loving, caring families that every kid deserves. Often all they need is a little bit of support, but the system fails them. And so that's what the Miracle Foundation does, jump in to provide the resources necessary to get the education, the tutoring, the mental health support, the health care, so that the families and the kids can stay together. And one of the really damaging factors for children in the foster care system is they get moved from one family to another and they can't really build roots, which is so important for our development as human beings. And so the Miracle Foundation steps in and facilitates those forever families by providing the tools and the resources necessary. But what does that take? That takes funding. That takes support from people like you. So in the link in this description, click it while we're still live. Maybe you could go to the site and send me some of the names of people who are donating while we continue through today's show, or you can donate whenever you're watching this. I would really, really appreciate it. And chip in what you can. Think about, I don't know how many people we have watching right now. 3, 4, 5, 6,000. 6,000 people. If each one of the viewers watching live donated just a little bit, we can make all the difference. We've already raised almost $30,000. I'd love to get it up to the point like 200. Last year we raised $200,000, which supported 500 or almost 500 children. So it makes a big difference in people's lives. You can go to the link that's in the description, and there's more details about what the Miracle Foundation does to support kids in the foster care system. It makes a huge difference in their lives. And what is more necessary than us as a community supporting children at a critical point in their life? And the Miracle Foundation does just that. Link in the description. Chip in whatever you can. If just our audience, all of us, put a little bit in. I donated $1,000. Many of you have already donated. We can make a huge difference. Again, whenever you're watching this, link in the description. If some of our live viewers do it now, I'll read out their names later on. Thank you so much. And now let's get into our next story. One of the things that I try not to do is hope that people will die. You know, that's kind of like weird to do. And I normally don't. There's even leaders that I really think are bad, like in the United States, that I don't actually wish to pass away, because I think that's a bad approach to life. And not to mention, strategically, you often don't even know if that'll have the consequences you think that it will, or will it unleash even more retribution or whatever, right? So on the human level, I wouldn't want it, and on the pragmatic level, I want it. But whenever I see reports about Putin being ill, something in me goes, hee hee hee, and feels very happy, okay? Putin, and I saw firsthand in Ukraine, is responsible for the mass murder of so many people, and he is a hungry for power, detached from humanity psychopath who cares more about his own glory than about human life. And the fact that he still gets human life, despite all of that, is one of the things that makes me doubt justice in this world. So I saw this headline, and of course it piqued my interest. Leaked video reveals Putin's days are suddenly numbered. Now, I like to be in my commentary as unclickbaity as possible, okay? Maybe a YouTube title here and there is, but my actual commentary, I try not to mislead you for the sake of you being intrigued. Let me just say, I think that title is a little misleading. We don't know that his days are numbered, okay? But the video is going viral because you have a guy who has put so much effort into seeming like immortal strongman. That's a part of what these dictatorial figures have to do, is make people believe there's an inevitability and an infinite component to their rule, so that there is not the level of motivation and hope that they could be removed. And so seeming immortal and you never have health problems is a big part. It's why you can leave this up, Jaden. It's why Putin takes photo ops like this, is to say, look at how strong and vibrant I am. And for some reason, even though I searched up Putin, Kim Jong-un on a horse popped up. Even on a horse, that guy does not look vital. Wait, vibrant, not vital, vibrant. He does not look vibrant. And so then what happened was Putin was recording like a woman's appreciation day, which is crazy given how many women he's responsible for murdering, but video. And they accidentally, either someone leaked on purpose or they accidentally left in and posted a clip of him coughing a bunch, which they always prevent the public from seeing. And this is while there's a bunch of speculation about his health. So let's watch the part that got posted and then deleted by the Kremlin or leaked.
Международным женским днем.
I am Putin. Okay, let me translate real quick because I know you don't speak Russian. Let me translate real quick. I am Putin. I am a dick. Okay.
Да, вы знаете, давайте-ка я еще раз скажу, потому что перешила, да? Да, чуть не закашлялся. Много говорил очень сегодня. Может, принести? Нет. Давайте. Работаем. Дорогие женщины, искренне.
That is what I said. I am Putin and I'm a dick. Okay, so then they remove that. Whoa, whoops. No, he's supposed to never look like he has health problems. Now, we've all been there. Right when I'm done speaking, sometimes you get a little something, a little tickle. But this is going to fuel many headlines and many little people like me who go, that's probably just coughing, but if he had like somehow the Black Plague or something, the Black Death, whatever it was called, somehow, that'd be cool. Russia desperately wipes video showing Putin cough, struggle for breath amid rumored ongoing health woes. What are we talking about? Well, the Russian strongman has been plagued by rumors about his ailing health in recent years, including reported strokes, multiple bouts of cancer, and even Parkinson's disease. Again, we do not wish ill on anyone, and I wish ill on Putin a lot and often. Do I know if he died, if that would mean whoever took over would be better? No, I don't. I just want him specifically to suffer, and that sounds bad, but I stand by it. So then here's reporting about, I don't know what outlet this is from, and I don't know anything about the credibility of the reporting here, but just to remind you of what I do know to be credible, which is the poop bag story. Because they're so sensitive about anyone finding out, which is why they scrambled to remove that video, about any health issues with him, they literally, whenever he travels to other countries, instead of pooping in their toilets, where they could then examine the fecal matter and see what is in the fecal matter and say, okay, here's a little bit of fecal, examine the fecal and what is happening with the fecal. Just trying to say fecal as many times as I can because it's a really crazy word that I rarely get to use. They could find out things about his health. Otherwise, why are they so sensitive about it?
Russian President Vladimir Putin is visiting India after a gap of 4 years. He will be in capital Delhi for just about 24 hours, but the security for one of the world's most powerful people is unprecedented. It has been long speculated that Putin uses body doubles, especially in public events or high-risk situations. During his recent visit to Alaska to meet US President Donald Trump, many thought that Putin didn't quite look like himself. Ukraine's military head, Major General Kirill Budanov, had once claimed that Putin uses at least 3 body doubles.
So some of you will comment this. I've never seen credible evidence of it, and I really struggle to believe it. But yeah, I really want them to get to the part about the poop bag because that is a real thing. I don't know about this. How would you do body doubles? I'm trying to think if I did a body double for myself. It's like, 1 in a billion, you can't do a body double. Do you know what I mean? Like, how are you going to emulate this? No, I'm kidding.
Have had plastic surgery to look like him. Putin's bodyguards are carefully selected and trained. They must be 5.8 to 6.2 feet tall, weigh 75 to 90 kgs, and speak foreign languages. Most graduate from the Federal Protective Services or the FSO Academy and undergo interviews, polygraph tests, and background checks. In case of an attack, bodyguards form a human shield around Putin and escort him to his vehicle. But here's the rider. They must all retire at the age of 35. Whenever Putin travels abroad, his biological waste is collected by his security team, sealed and sent back to Russia to prevent foreign intelligence from analyzing.
So there it is. I did just tell you that already. I thought it was going to be more like whatever, but I'm bored. And then sometimes you'll see those videos of them. I don't know if Putin or Kim Jong-un like wiping down the seat to make sure no little particles of themselves are left on a seat. What are you hiding? What are you hiding? Are you ill? But then you get these freaky clips. You remember this hot mic when he was with Xi Jinping and Kim Jong-un, where they're like talking about living forever? They go on to talk about living forever. We don't need to watch it, but I do just want to remember for a second here that Kim Jong-un is that friend that no one likes. And they always invite him to stuff because he's always threatening, you know, that friend who always threatens to nuke. And so you have to invite him to things, but then he's kind of, Xi Jinping's like, dude, I'm talking to Vlad. Like, you're not even that cool. No one even, you don't even have a good economy. And, you know, I wear a cooler outfit or something. Xi Jinping's like, I'm not going to wear a suit. I'm going to wear a cool outfit. So I know it's probably something because of, I understand. But Kim Jong-un, nobody likes you. And I don't like anyone really in this picture. So even the bad guys don't like him, it seems. They're kind of like, dude, what are you doing? And then you remember the video of them being like, you go in the door. No, you go in the door. They're just all petty, insecure men who happen to have a ton of power, and that's very scary. So my point is, I hope that he is ill. I hope that cough turns into difficulty to breathe, and then he suffocates and then goes to hell. Let's check in with the audience. Terrell donated. Thank you so much to supporting kids in foster care. If you just hopped on the live, we are fundraising for children in the foster care system through an amazing organization called the Miracle Foundation. You can go to the link in the description to donate. Jeff, thank you. Jeff Police, and then Michelle Whitaker as well, and then Rodney Peck. All of you are so wonderful. Yanara said, sorry, my name is easier to say in French. I've been following you for at least 2 years now, but you convinced me today. Thank you, messieurs, for your excellent work. Love from Canada, right, monsieur? Isn't that like sir? Thank you. Thank you so much. Doing my best here. I've tried to learn a lot of words in a lot of different places, and only so many fit in the noggin, to be frank with you. And one of them has to be y'all, so that automatically wipes out a lot of options I have for learning new words. Ooh, okay. Lindsey Graham is very horny right now because we are at war and there's discussions of more war, and he can't get enough of war. And amid that, he posted, that wasn't really relevant to this story, but but I introduced it that way, so here we go. He posted something and then deleted it about a private conversation he had with Trump. And I think the reason that probably the White House said, no, why do you delete that? Is because Trump is trying to do this weird thing where he gets mad at our allies for not coming to support us in the Strait of Hormuz. Because obviously we didn't consult them before we started this war. What you do normally is you like go and you explain the threat and then you unite your allies to then deal with something. Instead, Trump's just swinging around his hammer with no explanation as to how this ends or what's going to happen, or did he predict this? What's the plan with the Strait of Hormuz? And instead there's just global energy supply issues, and it is impacting the world, but a lot of them are like, we don't want to get involved in a war that you started without asking us. Plus, Trump has been the most antagonistic president to our allies in at least generations, so spitting in their face and then asking for their help doesn't make any sense. But Trump's trying to do this thing where he gets mad at them for that, not joining the war, and pretends he's not mad and doesn't care. You didn't invite me, but I don't care. I didn't want to go anyways. But you didn't invite me. I don't care. Right? That whole routine. But so Lindsay posted this. You see this this headline: MAGA senator posts then deletes story of furious Trump. I just spoke to President Trump. He posted about our European allies' unwillingness to provide assets to keep the Strait of Hormuz functioning, which benefits Europe far more than America. I've never heard him so angry in my life. I share that anger given what's at stake. So apparently Trump was just melting down in private to Lindsey Graham, and Trump's like, I'm going to escalate this war because of that. And Lindsey's like, yes, please. And so then he deletes that because, and you're about to see why, because the White House doesn't want people to know what Trump feels about the allies. Trump keeps going, they should help us, but we don't need their help, but we need their help, but we don't need their help, but we need their help, but we don't. I don't even want their help, but I need their help.
As we come on the air, the crisis in the Strait of Hormuz is escalating as President Donald Trump waffles, sometimes by the minute, on whether the U.S. expects or needs or even wants help in securing the critical waterway.
If we ever needed help, they won't be there for us. I've just known that for a long period of time. We have some that are really enthusiastic. They're coming already. This isn't need. Need would be one of the big boys. If we need their mine boats, or if we need anything, any piece of apparatus that they may have because of a situation that they have, they should be jumping to help us. We want them to come and help us with the strait. My attitude is, we don't need anybody. We're the strongest nation in the world. We have the strongest military by far in the world. We don't need them.
Did you follow that? We had a hard time following that. Let's.
True. Hey, true. Now, if you think, well, maybe he's saying we don't need it, but they should want to give us what we don't need, and I'm asking for their help, but I don't need to ask for the help because I don't even want it, but they should be asking to help us because of what we've done for them, which is attack all of them with our trade policy and call all of them useless and say all of them are just mooches on us, and we probably shouldn't even have NATO because it's completely worthless, and blah, blah, blah. And also they should be begging us to help us and go to war on something that I can't even explain what the war's for. So maybe that was what Trump was saying, and then I get it. But let's watch another clip from today where he tries to clarify.
Potential, I call it the nuclear dust. I think NATO's making a very foolish mistake, and I've long said that, I wonder whether or not NATO would ever be there for us. So this was a great test, because we don't need them, but they should have been there.
So Trump has often said that, and he didn't word it this way here, but he said this many times, and that's what he's referencing. He said he doesn't believe if we ever needed NATO, they would be there for us. And so this is a perfect test because we don't need them. But then why would they come to, wait, if you've said you don't think they'll be there when we need them, why would now be relevant because you're saying we don't need them? So then they won't be there by your logic. Now, what he's trying to say is they should be willing to help us even if we don't need the help, but we would take the help. But why, given all the factors I previously explained, would they want to go risk their service members' lives when you can't even explain why we're risking our service members' lives? Very confusing. So I guess that's why Lindsey Graham deleted it. But that might be embarrassing for him. He wasn't supposed to, release information about how Trump's melting down in private because Trump's trying to do this thing of like, they should want to help us, but we don't even care because we're so awesome. But Lindsey might be embarrassed by that, but he probably will quickly get over it. There's news that, Trump, as we talked about earlier in the show, wants to take Cuba next. To which Micah responded, Lindsey Graham is having an orgasm so large that it might leave him hospitalized. So I'm sure that'll help him get over it, just thinking about another war there. One kind of miscellaneous story is you have a U.S. Army Major General. What does that stand for? Major General, maybe? Who oversaw the command that coordinated, trained, and equipped Ukraine's military, left a tube of classified maps on a train to Poland for more than 24 hours and was concussed from falling over after an overindulgence in alcohol during a dinner in Ukraine, which, by the way, I get it. When I was in Ukraine, I'm doing the thing, but I'm serious. I was drinking a lot. We went to Frontline City where they don't allow you to have alcohol because they don't want the soldiers to get drunk while they're fighting. Makes sense. But then I'm like, I'm not fighting. Give me a drink. But they ban it just in general. Makes sense during a wartime. But we found it. And as you can feel the reverberations of bombs dropping around you, you kind of need alcohol, or at least I needed it. I'm not as brave as the soldiers. And so I did drink. I think you would put it in the a lot to a lot category of drinking. And then what was weird is I got this. So my point is maybe that's what the Major General was feeling. But also I'm sure he wasn't going anywhere close to the action, now that I think about it, if he's a U.S. military official, because you're not going to go into the Ukraine and then into the, front lines of Ukraine, just given the policies they have on that. But then I kind of started getting drunk and you could still hear the, which is very frightening and terrifying and life-changing. But then I'm kind of drunk, so then I'm kind of like, hey. And I remember going out to use the restroom just kind of like in the woods and could hear the noises of war, which is horrifying, but also kind of had that like buzzy, warm feeling, and then was like, I'm okay. Whatever happens, happens. And it was a weird moment of peace. So then imagine being hungover the next day and being like, wow, that now I feel terrified and extra anxious and I have anxiety. Eek. So I get him being drunk, but then he fell and concussed himself and then left classified documents on a train. So that is unfortunate. And then John Bolton. I don't need to play this clip. Well, what the hell? Let's go ahead and do it. Used to be a Trump administration official, spoke out against Trump because Trump's unhinged in his view, but was very supportive of overthrowing Iran. John Bolton was like, my only regret is not convincing Trump to do this during the first term. I would have loved to be a part of that. He loved this idea. And even he is like, man, I've wanted this my whole career, and I still think Trump's messing it up.
Well, I think it's a lot of self-inflicted mistakes, and I speak as someone who applauds the goal of overthrowing the regime in Tehran. I want this war to succeed in what I think was at least its original objective. But Trump made some critical mistakes that are becoming, the effects of which are becoming more apparent. Before the war, he did not prepare the American people. And I don't mean by telling them what the operation would be or how long it would be, but by making what I think is a very compelling case that the Iranian nuclear...
Okay, so he said he's making huge critical mistakes, even though John Bolton really, really wanted this for a very long time. Let me quickly thank a ginormous super chatter, Jim Flagg, who said, here's a little, I hope it helps. That is so kind. My goodness. Maybe I'm going to go just donate that to the chip up a little bit more on the miracle, because that's very generous. But I think it should go there. J.E. Corsten donated on the link in the description for the foster care system organization that helps to uplift children. Tia Teresa, member for 8 months, says, thank you for not including a graphic of Ladybug Graham loving gazing at a warhead. Yeah, like you could have Lindsey Graham lovingly gazing at a warhead and she's happy we didn't do that. Miriam O'Brien, thank you so much. Gina Deacon, thank you. Shamari Vasquez, thank you as well. Bilbo Jenkins says, Luke, what's your bench? We don't really do like, put as much on the thing as you can. Yeah. As we used to. But I think last time, like, what, 200, 210 maybe? 215? Up.
Soy boy beta.
I don't think I could do 225 on bench, but just under that. A little bit over 200, I think, was the last max that I did. Okay, on that note, now that you're all thoroughly turned on by my bench max, thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate you greatly. Much love. Talk to you next time.